Welcome home. We are WNST, AM 1570, Taos, Baltimore. We're Baltimore positive. We are positively in a new place, in a new space. We are in Halethorpe, and I got to be honest with you. I really made Ted Venetoulis very, very angry at the end of his life when I told him that my dad supported John Coulihan, who was the lion of Halethorpe. He was actually the lawyer that got my parents custody of me when my father was trying to run me off to Venezuela in 1980. So I spent a lot of my formative years here waiting for my dad in a law office in Halethorpe. So we're at Honey's in Halethorpe, and if you hear billiard, pool cue things happening, or even random Christmas music, we are down here in Halethorpe, and it is it's a really cool billiards place where they have trophies and they have groups. We're going to learn about that later on. I'm going to eat some delicious Asian food. Apparently they made me crab cakes because this is the Maryland Crab Cake Tour. It is presented by our friends at the Maryland Lottery in conjunction with our friends at GBMC. Izzy Patoka is the defending champion. He is running for Baltimore County Executive. And I'm telling you, I'm a Dundalk kid, and Moeller over in Catonsville. I didn't know a lot about Catonsville. Jimmy Schwartz would always say, it's Arbutus. It's not Halethorpe. It's Arbutus. It's not Catonsville. It's not Baltimore Highlands. And when they invited me over, and this place is great because I got an email, and they said, we want you to do the Crab Cake Tour. What would it take for me to come over and do the show? And I said, well, it'd probably take electricity, a table, a smile, and a crab cake. So they make some crab cakes. Izzy Patoka is our defending champion. But I didn't know if this was in the city or the county. I guess that's my point. Because you and I could right now walk a block and a half, 2 blocks up, and we would be in the city. But we are just into the county here at Honey. So welcome out. You're trying to get to know the whole county too. And
yes,
your background was in the city, though, city government,
both
right?
city and county.
Right.
I was city planner for Baltimore right out of school. I got a job at city planning. Actually became chief of capital budgeting for the city, where I drafted the capital budget for Baltimore City. I managed
What year would that have been?
That was, I was doing capital budget in the mid-'80s through the early 90s. Oh, wow,
that's Schaefer era. We're going way back. Okay, all right.
Schaefer, Schmoke, and I got to the point where I was the actual author, the primary author of a $3 billion capital budget. So what schools got constructed in Baltimore City, what roads got reconstructed, what parks. That was all. I was the manager.
Now, were you the cat when Schaefer was running around with his little notepad? Did you ever get one of those when he would have the pen and the thing that would sit in his, Patoka, we need more money for the, would that have been?
No, I was a planner one when Schaefer was in, so I was young, right out of school. And
that's all you've ever done then is government. I mean, you went to school literally to learn about making government better, basically,
well, to
right?
some degree. So my degrees, both my bachelor's and master's, are both in geography and environmental planning. Initially, I wanted to be a cartographer, but...
What? Whoa. I'm from Dundalk. The hell's a cartographer? I don't know what a cartographer is. I'm in Halethorpe. What do I know about a cartographer?
It's a person that draws maps.
All right.
And so I got beyond
Well, then
that.
you would at least know this is Baltimore County and that's Baltimore City, because I had a geography education as a Baltimorean, literally, to try to figure out which side I was on. That's all,
But you know what? It's important that our whole region is strong. So, the line between the city and county is really an unnatural line. It's kind of square. So I think it's important that we recognize that we're one region.
How did that get drawn? Because it is very, very square. Whoever put it together, I'm probably assuming it was something racist because everything was 100 years ago. But the line that went in, there was all farming on the other end of the line.
It was.
Right? It was kind of the end of civilization when it was drawn up.
The county was very different. And in fact, at one time, North Avenue, Nestor,
was the demarcation.
Was the northern city line.
Okay,
exactly.
All right.
And so...
that was horse and buggies now, though, right?
Yes.
Before the Oyster Wars.
Before the Oyster Wars.
I'm learning a lot of Baltimore history hanging out with you guys, so...
So just back to
cartography.
And
I've never said that word in my life. I'll probably never say it again.
But I really evolved into kind of a planner budget steward. And so the person that did the capital budgeting for Baltimore County, unfortunately, she died at a very young age. So Baltimore County called and said, can you step in and can you draft our $3 billion capital budget? Can you manage it? And I did that. I enjoyed it. Stayed with Baltimore County for about 5 years. And then...
Baltimore City, you mean? No, county.
Baltimore County.
County, after the city. Okay.
So I've done 2 tours with the city, 2 tours with the county, 1 tour with the state of Maryland. and one tour with
Well,
Life
as a
Bridge Health.
hired gun, not as an elected official. That's a whole different thing going out here and getting yourself elected.
Correct. So when Martin O'Malley became mayor of Baltimore, he called me and invited me to be part of his senior team.
I had Matt Gallagher on the show on Wednesday.
Yeah, so Matt and I worked closely. We were we headed up the two signature agencies of the O'Malley administration. Matt headed up City Stat, and I headed up the Mayor's Office of Neighborhoods. It goes by Monzi nowadays, but I was the original.
What was Martin's vision for that? As far as that's
that's
something,
a good question.
Yeah, because in what you were trying to get look, anybody that's been associated with the city for better or worse has had a little sunburn, including me who invested in the city and owned a place. I mean, it's been a struggle this century in a lot of ways, and a lot of people would say I run from my work there. Not you and Gallagher. You've both been on the show this week saying, "Hey, man, I went to work every day to try to make the city better."
Absolutely,
right? I mean,
and we both worked every night as well.
Oh yeah, I can point that out.
Yeah, but the vision for O'Malley was in my orbit was to ensure that people that are going to the community meetings and that live in neighborhoods, that they are actually helping to define the budget and define improvements in their neighborhood. So myself, and I had people that worked for me that were called neighborhood liaisons. They were like little mayors.
What do we need in this part of this neighborhood?
And then they could direct an agency head to engage in that improvement. They weren't messengers. They were coordinators, kind of mini mayors, if you will, and it was really an outstanding effort.
An outreach from the mayor, a right arm to the mayor.
And we went to 4,272 community meetings. And each community meeting, we learned what the needs are, and then my team was empowered, and we worked closely with City Stat and Matt Gallagher and some of the other components.
I feel like I need to get Gallagher back on next week because I have questions for him that I'll give to you.
Yeah.
But the notion that you would measure those things 20, 25 years ago when Gallagher's being a stat nerd and a computer nerd in the modern era of data and AI and putting things in to know we have so much more information. And I know you're running for Baltimore County Executive. You've been a councilman in 2 for a long time. So I want to get to county issues as well. But this background you have would... And I'm going to have Nick on later. I invited Julie, and I'll have everybody. I'm going to have everybody on. I was at the Italian Association men's group, and the Republican candidate came up to me a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to have him on. So I just think philosophically where the county is and trying to modernize, which was something I think Johnny O talked a lot about. It's something I think Brandon talked about in the city. I don't think you can be modern enough. I discovered AI 3 weeks ago, and my mind's blown. As a 57-year-old, there are things available to me as a human on ChatGPT that I can only imagine how this could benefit government if it was harnessed and utilized. I don't want to call it weaponized, but strategically ninja place to make the county better, and that's why you're running, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, we have to be careful with AI. As you may recall, about a month ago, a young man was waiting to be picked up after a football game, and AI suggested that he had a weapon that was a bag of Doritos, and he was converged on by police. So we got to be careful in how we treat AI. I think it's a great tool, but we have to be extremely careful how we implement that. But
I think everybody's worried about it. It's a global concern, right?
Yeah. But in terms of what I see in the future and why I'm running, is if you look at where we are right now, Nestor, in 2025, we have a federal government that is totally unpredictable. There are things that are coming out that we have never heard in the past. There are tariffs that change very frequently. So it's unpredictable, and so we need to be as strong as we can at the local level because we don't have as much control at the federal level with that unpredictability. And especially being a Democratic state and a Democratic county, we're very vulnerable.
Well, the Key Bridge is in the middle of all this.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, the Key Bridge and what's happened in Westernport, doesn't matter, black, white, city, Western Maryland, Eastern Maryland. This is untenable.
It's untenable.
It's untenable just from a federal level of firing people at will with chainsaws 8 months ago, and now we're up to, well, I'm not going to repair your bridge. I'm not going to do things for people that have been damaged in Westernport who all voted for him, you know? So I can't open the mic here without talking about the orange elephant in the room, like literally, because that is going to affect everything in our state moving forward. And these elections are important, which is why I'm bringing you on. I want all of you to talk about this stuff.
When I talk to seniors, they're really concerned about whether they're going to get their Social Security benefits and whether there'll be staff to answer questions if there are questions about their benefits. They have family members that used to work for the federal government but no longer do. And with groceries going up, it's a really tough time in Baltimore County. And so we need to be strong, and we need to have someone that is an experienced, has a broad breadth of experience, as I believe I do. And also we need someone, with the state budget being tight, we need someone that can manage a very difficult budget, that can implement budget discipline and also meet the evolving needs of our communities. And so I've done this kind of work my whole life. I believe in it. I've been a good fiscal steward. And I've also been community centered my entire life. I've been to tens of thousands of community meetings. I think I work with people, and this is really interesting, Nestor. I work with people that want to make their community better. They believe that they can make their community better, but what's even more important is they're willing to act on that belief.
That's what a community leader, that's the definition of a community leader, right?
And so if they're willing to act on that belief, then we, Baltimore County, should be working in partnership with these people that are working to make their community better and acting on that belief that they can. And that's why I'm going to create a brand new office called the Office of Community Conservation, and that office is going to be a coordinating office. It's going to be similar to what we did in the Mayor's Office of Neighborhoods, where these neighborhood coordinators are able to direct agencies to fix that pothole, to reconstruct that street. Right now, we have the Office of Community Engagement, which are more messengers than implementers. And so the Office of Community Conservation, in concert with elevated Office of Community Engagement, we're going to really focus on what the neighborhoods want. And the Office of Community Conservation, Nestor, is going to be primarily focused, but not exclusively focused, on our inner Beltway neighborhoods, on our inner Beltway commercial corridors. Most of the people live in these inner Beltway communities, and we've neglected them for decades, we the county. And it's time to double back and make sure that the people that live in these neighborhoods have infrastructure that works.
We're in one of them right now.
Correct.
We're inside the Beltway. We're in Hillthorpe.
Right.
Yeah.
So this would be a prime example of where the Office of Community Conservation would be focused. We're gonna bring in the best and the brightest to do this, and they're going to coordinate all of the agencies. What do we need here in Halethorpe? Do we have adequate parks? Are our streets reconstructed? Are our sidewalks done? How is our
well, Halethorpe's a long way from White Marsh, which is a long way from from Ruxton, which is a long way from Hereford, right? I mean, it's Reisterstown. It's big. That's the part about this. By the way, Izzy Patoka is our guest here. He is sitting in number 2, but running for Baltimore County Executive and in Baltimore County and city background, county background. You mentioned the state, and look, I pitched the lottery, and when I have John Martin on and we talk about where the money goes, and my Lord, the gambling that's going on with sports right now, and month by month, big numbers coming in. The state's had shortfalls, and whether Wes and Hogan, and I've had them both on, and don't blame me, blame them, and blame Kerwin, and all of these. Then how are we going to pay for the bridge? And the federal's not very good, and we've lost a lot of jobs in Maryland because of this. How does that affect Baltimore County? I mean, because I'm a Baltimore County resident, I'm a Baltimore County voter, I'm a Baltimore County business owner. What does that mean when the state's having problems? You're managing, let's say you win, you're managing a really tight budget. What kinds of things get in and what kinds of things get out?
Well, when the budget is tougher, you've got to really hone in on your priorities. And so for me, when an elected official says we're going to do A, B, or C, it really is not meaningful unless that elected official puts budget behind it. The budget is the way you articulate your public policy. And so for me, if I'm lucky enough to be elected as county executive, then I'm going to make sure that our top priorities are funded. Right now, for me, the top priorities are strengthening our inner Beltway neighborhoods, strengthening those neighborhoods that are just right outside of the Beltway that are now aging. Also, to make sure that our permits department is functioning in a better way.
Please do that.
Yeah.
I've had, we're trying to get the fishmonger's daughter open over in Catonsville, and it's just, I talk to business owners all the time. You know that. I mean, that's what Baltimore Positive is all about. I used to hear that about the city because I lived in the city, and I'd hear doing business with the city from the Canton business owners and the Federal Hill. I'd always hear it was a nightmare. Hearing more of that in Baltimore County, and that disappoints me. It really does.
Well, Nestor, I try to be very specific in the things that I'm going to do as county executive, and I've actually done them. Other folks are looking theoretically and at the abstract, but I'm looking at the real world. So,
when you're pro-business, when business owners feel like you're pro-business, which I'm one of them. That it's not hard to feel pro-business. Ask the business owners, right? Literally.
And for permits, we're going to do a complete overhaul, but that overhaul will include at least 2 high-level ombudsmen that will help shepherd permits through the process. Not low-level ombudsmen, high-level that can direct agencies to move on these permits. And the other thing we're going to do is, instead of doing a linear permit review from agency to agency to agency, we're going to do a simultaneous dynamic permit review. It'll speed it up. The ombudsman will make sure that it happens, and the business you're working with, I think, will have a much more efficient and a speedier time in terms of getting a permit approved by Baltimore County.
Less money. Nobody likes to talk about that. What does that mean when things are tighter in regard to schools, public safety, tax base, people leaving to go other places and creating shortfalls from where, let's say, Johnny O might have thought it was going 6 or 8 years ago, or maybe even you thought when, you've been involved in these meetings from the beginning, you see the good and the bad and the ugly through all of it. And I know of your concern. That's why you're running. I mean, you're running because you think it's not good enough, right?
Yes. And so there's tools that we can apply and techniques that we can move on that haven't really been done in Baltimore County. For example, during tough budgets, what I did as chief of capital budgeting is I went through every single account, every capital budget item, all the way back since it was first appropriated. And what I would do is any remaining funds on a dormant project were deappropriated and then reallocated to new projects and new priorities. And it's kind of like finding coins in your sofa, because my experience in the deappropriation process of dormant projects has yielded millions of dollars. And so I think that's step one. The step two is to make sure that your agencies are being efficient and making sure that that people are being efficient individually, as a unit, and then as a department. And I think we do that through hands-on experience. I've worked, when I was in the governor's office, I managed multiple agencies. When I was in deputy director of planning, I did the budget the operating budget for 4 agencies. So I don't think anybody that's running currently has the experience in terms of budget, in terms of prioritization, in terms of managing large agencies. And when I was in the governor's office, I was managing cabinet level secretaries, because I headed up I think 4 different parts of government, in addition to the state archives, Canal Place, Historic St. Mary's County, MPT. So I've had, and also the AmeriCorps program. And in addition to that, I was the Intergovernmental Affairs Director for the governor, while simultaneously being the
There's a lot of departments in government, dude.
Yes,
right?
And I manage so many of them, and it's very similar to managing county agencies. In fact, the state agencies were quite bigger than the county agencies. So I don't know that any of the candidates running for county executive now have that broad level experience of managing large agencies and being a leader. A leader gets things done, and that's what I've done my whole career, and that's what I anticipate I'll be doing as the next county executive.
We're down here at Halethorpe. We are just a smidge into Baltimore County. Izzy Patoka is a sitting councilman in 2, which is in the northwest side of town. We are in the southwest side, not far from Cherry Hill, Baltimore Highlands, Lansdowne. We're in Halethorpe. We're at Honey's. It is a fantastic little billiard hall here with great food, bar open. Got some packaged goods over here. I got some lottery tickets as well. Maryland Lottery putting us out on the road. My friends at GBMC, also Baltimore County, helped save me 2 weeks ago. I had my colonoscopy 2 weeks ago today. today. Found that I had precancerous polyps. I am now safe. I am now good. It is my PSA to everyone out there to do what I used to talk about doing but didn't do, but now I've done, so now I can talk about it even more. Our friends at GBMC keeping me safe, and I'm appreciative of that during the holidays. And I'm hungry as hell, too. I just can't stop eating. I don't know where it's all going. Maybe it's our friends at Planet Fitness are going to cut that out for me on the 22nd. We're going to be at Costas and Dundalk on the 18th. I spent a little time with Gina Schock yesterday, just stopped by her house. We hung out a little bit. Called Eddie Lauer, who had a heart transplant. And Ed's in Parkville. He's in Baltimore County right now, too, so we're going to give him some love next week. On Thursday, we're going to be at Costas and Dundalk, not in Timonium. Another 2 Baltimore County business, the Triantifolos family. Also on Friday, we're going to be in the city. We're going to be back at the BMA at Gertrude's with my cousin John Shields, with my Portuguese sort of cousin Dan Rodericks. We're also going to have some electeds coming by. We're going to have some fun next week. I will have the candy cane scratch-offs as well, which are scented, and they're going to smell like peppermint. So my bag is I'm going to smell like Santa Claus next week at Costas, which is the way it should be. Izzy Patoka's here. So redistricting, Baltimore County, taking over the county, running for county executive. The vision for Baltimore County right now, and I haven't had Kathy on, and you were a part of the whole scrum and getting her involved in this, and obviously with Todd Crandall, and I'll get to Todd later. He's my Dundalk guy. I hope he's doing well. He knows that because I've known him 40 years. But what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses perceived to be? You don't want to call our county weak, but what are the problems, the challenges, as you see it top down, to say, we're a really big county. Like, as I look top 100 in the country, putting against bigger than tons and tons of cities you've heard of because of population. I'm Baltimore County, reared, educated. I drove past Colgate Elementary yesterday. Last night I was in Sparrows Point, and everybody in Pikesville knows Calvin Statham because he taught middle school there for a period of time in the 70s. He taught me from 79 to 81, and I drove down to Edgemere last night to sing Christmas carols, and all I could think about seeing him was all Baltimore County students in there. We're all older in life now. We have this beautiful he's turning 85 on Valentine's Day. So I think about how Baltimore County has my business for 30 years, my land. My child lives in Baltimore County. I was educated all the way through. I don't toot my horn for the county so much. People think of the city and Baltimore positive, but Baltimore County is like so important to all of it. And I think it's the land of pleasant living. I would send my child to a Baltimore County school. I did. My son graduated from Perry Hall, went to Colgate, and went to Perry Hall Middle. So the more I talk about it, I've lived so much of my life here. I wouldn't say I wouldn't live anywhere else because I lived in the city for 19 years. But I love the county, and I think I like hearing you guys, you, Nick, Julian, all you people running. I want to hear your vision for the county.
Sure.
Because I think we're into a new thing now, right? I mean, Johnny O and we're Moeller and Jim Smith, and this is a new – none of you identify particularly with anything from the past, right? You're talking about something fresh.
Yes. So great question, and to me – Baltimore County is just a beautiful place, and it's a great place to live. And the reason people move to Baltimore County and enjoy Baltimore County is because of our urban, suburban, and rural character, all in one place. We also have a great waterfront. Our assets, our location, being close to everything, close to the Orioles, close to the Ravens. It's really a great county, and we have these great assets. Now, where we can improve, to me, like our older commercial corridors, we need to really bring them back to life, add some vitality to that. We need
Start with Dundalk now. Come on, talk to my people.
So
now.
it's if you go around the Beltway, it's
you're going to help save the Heritage Fair.
Yes,
all
absolutely.
Right, you get my vote then.
Yeah, because the Heritage Fair is part of the beauty of Dundalk and why people want to live in our county.
That's
and
why I
another
go
Dundalk is, let's talk about the Gertzbeck that was in Logan Village.
Okay.
They moved out. I'm going to try to incentivize that location to bring a grocer back where the Gertzbeck I have a trouble saying
Gershbeck's,
Gershbeck used to be in Logan.
Captain Harvey's used to be in there.
Yeah.
I swallowed a lot of cheesesteaks in that plaza, in that Logan Village
Yeah.
Plaza. Trust me, I did.
Cheesesteaks
all
are
my
good
life.
things.
That's how I was. I had to lose weight back in 06 from eating all those cheesesteaks of Steve over there. But for the county, and I think the future of all the things you talk about, land, all that's been there, but the leadership part of it for education and public safety. And I think the other part, and I heard Ivan Bates speak, and I'm going to have Ivan on because Zoe wrote to me, so I'm going to make that happen. But I heard him speak to a business group about a month ago, and I've had him on the show, and I don't vote for him because I don't live in the city anymore, but I would. Someone who's clearly a Republican stood up and said, Ivan, I love what you stand for, but I live in the county. I can't vote for you. What can I do to help? What can a county person do to help the city? And Ivan said something, and I'm going to give him a hard time, but in a fun way. He said, take a chance on the city again. And I think to myself, like, I was in the city yesterday. I was in the city a minute ago. I drove through the city to get here. We're 2 blocks from the city. The city and the county and the relationship, and that's not even Baltimore County. That goes for Anne Arundel. That goes for Hartford, Carroll, all of you. You know who you are. Howard, everybody. The city as treating it like it's like a trip in and out of a demarcation zone is a crazy concept to me, and a crazy concept to anybody that spends time in the city. And I think pitting the city against the county in the way that maybe Hartford County feels that way right now, that is not in anybody's best interest. And that's what, when I started Baltimore Positive and I was going to run for mayor, that was my whole point is, this isn't a gang tackle of the city. This is you and me walking 2 blocks into the city. I know I'm not speaking ill. You worked in the city. You love the city. There is a point for me where I need to hear Baltimore County Executive talk about ways we can support the city. And that's one of the reasons I supported Johnny O, quite frankly, because I thought, and I lived in the city at the time, is I thought, we have to think about this as a team effort, not raiding the tax base or don't go there, go here. I'm all for spending money in the county and supporting the county businesses, but being back in the city, it can't feel like that's a place we can't go or shouldn't go. It's got to feel a place that we feel like we must go. We must go.
Well, I'll just say, Lester, that having the city and county not having a great relationship or being having animosity towards each other, that's antithetical to my core beliefs. I believe we should be good neighbors. In fact, not only do I believe it, I act on that because my colleague on the city side, Councilman Izzy Patoka, we represent a community that is a like community on the city side and county side. We talk on the phone almost every night of the week to discuss core issues that affect the community he represents and the community I represent. Because think about the city-county line. And I said this earlier. It's an unnatural line. It's a straight line. And so communities, typically if you go around the city and county, right at that border, there are like communities on either side. And, you know, if you look at Parkville and Hamilton or Woodlawn and the neighborhoods just inside, 10 Hills.
Didn't you have something with him that's something really horrible? Wasn't it like a natural gas explosion or something? It was right on the line. Am I
Yes.
wrong? So I'm not wrong about that. See, I read the news. I read the banners.
And we've also had multiple public safety town halls where we get Ivan Bates, Scott Schellenberger, the county police commission, the city police commissioner, the county police chief, and we have a town hall, a joint city-county town hall, because I
live here, I shop there, I work here, I drive there, right? I mean, I get my groceries here and I get my gas there, right? Literally, right?
And in many cases, the criminal element, they know how to use that line to their benefit to do their business well. And so if we don't have our law enforcement, all our state's attorney, our police department, all of our law enforcement entities, if they're not working together, we're not going to do our best in terms of protecting the public. And we're going to allow the folks that are committing crimes to have the advantage, and we don't want that to be in place in the city or in the county.
Izzy Patoka is my guest. We're here at Honey's in Halethorpe. If you listen out in Radio Land, Izzy is the sitting councilman in 2, running for Baltimore County Executive. Let's go Schoolhouse Rock here, because I sometimes we can drive people nuts driving around the freeway or whatever, and people that are in and watching us online, they want to hear your message. But a councilman, what does a councilman do and what does a county executive do? And how is that relationship? Not just that you were part of voting when Johnny O went to Congress that electing or appointing a county executive, but on a day-by-day basis, your job now is what versus what you're looking to do with county executive?
So that's a great question. So a councilman basically has 5 functions. One is we're a legislative body like other legislative bodies. We approve the budget. We approve contracts like the City Board of Estimates or the State Board of Public Works. We have broad land use authority. We do in terms of zoning, and then we're also advocates for our communities. Those are the 5 core functions. Now, as an advocate for the community, we have no authority whatsoever as a council member to have say in the budget other than to cut the budget. We can't add money, we can't move money, we can't redirect money for projects that are important to us. So conversely, the county executive and Baltimore County has a very strong county executive structure because the county executive dominates in terms of
Has
budget
a lot of
and
power,
prior.
right.
A lot of power
Right.
in terms of
and the city was set up that way too. When I was talking about
Exactly.
running for mayor, that the city has an even more because Schaefer got more power and it was never relinquished.
It's the structure of the Board of Public Works.
Sure.
Is that there are 5 members that approve all expenditures over $25,000, and 3 of them are either the mayor or appointed by the mayor. So it'd be unlikely for 2 of the
So you're going to
mayors
win every war.
Every war, yeah. So
Probably started when he lost the one to Mikulski, which is how the tunnel got built.
Yes.
So I've learned,
Yes.
I've learned about the inner workings of all of this. So keep going on the county.
So the county executive, has defines the budget, and like I said, I've had significant experience in drafting budgets. The other thing, the county executive is both a manager and a leader. And by manager, I mean county executive manager wants to do everything right. A leader has to do the right thing. And so being county executive, you have to be skilled at both of these, managing and leading large agencies, leading a correctional facility, leading your public works department, leading the one that's nearest and dearest to me is the planning department, because that's what I came up. And by the way, Nestor,
that's like hardball to special teams, right?
Yes,
Like that's
exactly.
Just all right. I got you.
And I still keep I'm nationally certified as a planner, and I keep my national credentials up. I go to webinars and I learn what planners are doing, and particularly young planners across the country in different jurisdictions, and how I can implement that here, because I've got to get certain level of continuing education credits. Very, very helpful, because the issues that are in Cincinnati or San Francisco and those regions are similar here. And the one common theme that I've heard across the country from planners is that we all need to overhaul our zoning codes. They're all obsolete. And the reason for that is the basic foundation of the zoning codes are that retail behaves a certain way. You have to go to the store and shop. But that's not true anymore. It hasn't been true for 30 years.
Right.
You shop online. You go to the store mostly for service-oriented, your haircut.
Dry cleaning.
Dry cleaning.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that has changed in terms of one of the pillars of the zoning code is office space, and also residential, because people, post-pandemic, the behavior of office space is different because people are working from home. My wife used to go.
Well, if you're going to revitalize a city, you better figure that out quick.
Yeah.
Right, because there's nothing but empty space above us. As
Right.
I drove to Fadley's on Wednesday, and that's affecting the Orioles games. It's just affecting every how Harbor Place is going to be revitalized.
Yep.
And from the county perspective, that would speak to East Point Mall, where my parents took me to grow up. Golden Ring done away with, and it's a Home Depot, and it's a this and that. So, security. Don't know what it's going to be, right? I mean, I have had Mark Renbaum on talking about like the project that you're
Lutherville Station.
Like all of those, especially things that are associated to rail.
Yeah.
Like Hunt Valley was a mall. Well, it ain't a mall no more, right? I mean, now it's a living space and a wall. Like all of them. I'm 57. I've seen it all change over 2 or 3 times. And from my Dundalk people, not always in a good way, right?
Yeah.
And I see Tray Point Atlantic, but and that's business. But to your point, the downtown Essex, downtown Dundalk, the strip in Parkville on Harford Road.
Yep.
I mean, even what happened with Towson Row, and I know that's controversy and what's going on downtown Towson and the mall itself, but all of these need to be rethought. Everything. It's obvious security needs to be rethought, right? And White Marsh, things you see, and you're like, well, that was a big-ass mall, and it can't be that 20 years from now. This isn't Fast Times at Ridgemont High anymore, you know? But thinking that through, that is all about planning, and it's going to be about whether Dundalk comes back to life in the way we all want it to be, or what White Marsh is going to be after we laid waste to the rabbits and built a mall there 50 years ago, right?
Well, Nestor, I've created a zoning tool to address those. I think it was a year and a half ago I created a new zoning application. It's called the Mixed Use Overlay District, and it allows you to zone vertically. Typically, zoning is horizontal. This space is residential. This space is office. This space is retail. In my new mixed-use zoning overlay district, you can zone vertically, so you can have retail on the ground floor.
Well, that's
office
what
on
you
the
would
second
have to
floor.
have in Lutherville to make sense
Exactly.
of that station,
Lutherville
right?
Station is a great application of the mixed-use overlay district. And the other thing is that typically these older shopping centers that performed well in the 80s and 90s, and maybe not so much anymore, they're typically along a transit line. And so that there's two benefits. One, reduces parking demand, so you can you can lessen the parking requirements. And in addition to that, the parking that's needed for residential, the parking that's needed for office, the parking that's needed for retail, they all are different times. So again, you can even further reduce the parking requirements for a mixed-use overlay district application.
Well, I was in the city yesterday morning at DePasquale's, and in the time since the family left Highlandtown and came down to Canton in the last 5, 6, 8 years, the amount of construction is when I was in the window at DePasquale, all there are cranes lifting humans up, and they're building this thing, and it's harder to park down there than it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. And you'd like to think that all these Sharpies that are building all these apartments down there, and I gave Ed Hale a tip of the cap as well for being a visionary for that area 25 years ago. Well, it's all there now, and it's happening, and there's a Chick-fil-A, and there's a Target, and it's in the city, and it's on the line, and all. But, like, then there's the, geez, can I park? And the DePasquale's people who have invested, those people are concerned about that sort of thing because it wasn't a part of their mindset for any business, not just them, obviously, but anybody to say, hey, man, I hit it big. I'm in a neighborhood where there's a lot of people now. That brings a whole different set of challenges, right?
And if you take the Shot Tower Metro, if you get off at the Shot Tower Metro station, you're in a walkable place. Now, when Governor Hogan killed the Red Line, that was our east to west transit. When he killed it in 2015, he didn't kill it for just 4 years or 8 years. He killed it for a generation. Transit is different than other types of construction. And so right now, I would say if the Red Line comes back, it's not you and I that are going to be able to benefit it. It might be, if we're lucky, our grandchildren are going to benefit from a Red Line.
Every time I get on a subway in any city, doesn't matter, it's America, Tokyo specifically because of how amazingly constructed all of it is, Hong Kong, these places that are really forward-thinking. New York's pretty forward-thinking, too, because when I go there, you know what the subway does? It works. And it's worked for 150 years, and some Izzy put his political nads out on the line to say, we're going to take $1 billion and build this thing under the ground that's going to get us around. And I'm sure people are like, well, I'm starving on the street. What does that mean for me? And I think anytime you build anything like that, there's a level of political courage every time I get on anything that's public transportation to say somebody put themselves out for this because there was no instant gratification involved in that at all.
So to me, in Baltimore, it's unusual. I think our metro system would work better if the police the transit police had a better presence, not in the stations, but on the trains. And typically it's been, during my time in the governor's office, we had a devil of a time getting the transit police in the trains. For some reason, they like to hang up.
You know what, man? I'll say this about subways and stuff, because you and I are old enough and been here forever. I remember when it was built.
I do too.
Early, it was right after
The
Harbor
planks
Place
on
opened.
all the roads.
My parents and I took the bus downtown, and we got on it to joyride it. We took it out. I don't think it even went all the way to Owings Mills at the time. It kind of went out toward that way. And we took it out, took a one-way ride, turned around, came back down, and I rode it. And I never rode it again for 25 years because it didn't – I'm from Dundalk. It didn't help me.
Yeah.
I took the 23 bus everywhere. I took the 23 and the 22 and the 10. My parents didn't drive. My parents didn't have much, So, I mean, I was a public transportation.
You knew how to get around, though.
First. Well, that's one reason I never went to the Capitol Center as a kid. Yeah. And when they took the Bullets out of town, my dad hated him because we couldn't go to the games anymore. So I would just say for that red line thing, and I've had Hogan sit next to me and Moeller, and Moeller was pushing his buttons and pissing him off when we were sitting down having a crab cake in Annapolis. And he said, I killed the red line because that's what I ran on. And I'm like, you ran on laying waste to East Baltimore for the next 50 years. Good for you, pal. Yeah. Good for you. When the federal government was going to do this, I mean, do you know anything about supermarkets and food deserts? And it sickens me to see people beating up the most vulnerable people in our community.
And Baltimore is the economic engine of the state. And so if you say, I'm going to cripple the economic engine of the state, I don't think that's leadership. What kind of governor are you? Yeah, that's not leadership. I'll say this, Nestor. I live from door to door, from my front door to the front door of the Milford Mill Metro Station is 7/10 of a mile. And I use it quite a bit. When I had Baltimore days in the governor's office, I didn't have that many Baltimore days. Most was in Annapolis.
9-minute walk, 15-minute commute, no parking.
Correct.
Boom. I can get off on 3 different stops if I need to go to State Center, wherever.
Yeah.
I lived downtown for 19 years, so I started taking it. I would start, we had one car. My wife got transferred and had to work in Hunt Valley, and I would take the subway up to Owings Mills, and Luke would grab me, and we would go to practice together.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no problem.
But
I prefer doing that. Luke sometimes would say, don't you? I'm like, no, I get on the subway and I'm veg out. I don't have to drive. I don't have to think about anything. My wife's got the car. She's happy. I took the bus from downtown to Towson all the time to my radio station, number 8. So I'm talking about when I was in my late 40s. I'm in my late 50s. I've lived in Towson for 4 years now. By the way, Izzy Patoka is here. He's running to run not just his district in 2, but all of Baltimore County. He's running for Baltimore County Executive. We're here at Honey's. We are in Baltimore County. We're in Halethorpe right now, which is – I don't get to Halethorpe much. Why? Do you get to Dundalk much? Because you're running for the whole county.
I get to Dundalk quite a bit.
Are there places in the county, I think if he's a Northwestern guy, are there places in the county where if I took you to some place in Overly or Middle River or someplace you haven't been, because I think of myself as a county guy. I'm not in a place I've never been, but I'm in a place I rarely come. And that I need to. If I'm going to run for office, I need to do better than that. But you too.
Well, no, I'm getting out a lot. I leave the house at around 8:39, and I come home at night at 8:39, and so I'm all around the county, and I've got to understand the dynamics of it. I don't think you can sit in your office, and this has been how I've operated my whole professional life, is that you don't sit in an office and look at the 4 walls of that office and believe that's the community. You're going to fail if you do that. For me, if you're going to be in governance, you need to get out of your office. You need to get into your communities. I did that in the 2nd District. So I'm in the communities every night, every day, countywide. Because
tell me where 2nd District is, because it means something to me.
Good question. Yeah. So the 2nd District is the Northwest. It is every neighborhood inside the Beltway from Windsor Mill Road to Charles Street. So from Woodlawn to Ruxton.
So you're going Mount everything north of Mount Washington.
Yep.
Sort of that area there.
Exactly. And then it goes out. It's a very diverse district because you're talking about inside the Beltway from Woodlawn to Ruxton, and then in the Stevenson and the Green Spring Valley area, it pops out. So it has a good portion of rural. And that's why I said earlier.
You have Brooks Robinson Drive in your.
I do.
All
yes.
right, then that tells me all I need to know.
And for anybody who has been complaining about all the tractor trailer parking on there, we have resolved that on Brooks Robinson Drive.
How much outside the Beltway do you have? You go out toward Owings Mills, correct?
Yeah, I mean I go far outside the Beltway. I have a good.
Well, Julian's on one side, correct?
Yeah. So at Painters Mill Road. Councilman Jones picks up a good portion of Owings Mills.
Okay.
And I have it on the east side of Reisterstown Road. He has the west side.
You had where my grandfather lived, which was like Meadow Heights Road, Randallstown.
That is all Councilman Jones's.
Okay, all right. So I'm trying to get left from right and east from west here
Yeah.
as I get it together. Izzy Patoka is here. He's running for Baltimore County. So give me the stump speech real quick before I let you go. And I'll get you back on. We got elections, but I think the most important thing in any of these elections that happen in the county, is vote, register. If you're not, participate. Listen to what these people have to say. It's about public safety. It's about education. It's about quality of life, I think, more than anything. But why are you running, and what's the promises made you're going to want to keep?
So I've been community-centered my entire life. I have a broad breadth of experience in terms of budget, in terms of managing agencies, and moving into the future, Nestor. We need to have strength at the local level. The rest, federal level is not predictable. So we need to be strong here at the local level. I think I offer a skill set that will meet that need, have strong budget experience, and I also have very specific plans on what we're going to do into the future. We're going to have strong interbeltway communities. We're going to have strong commercial corridors. We're going to have agencies that are performing at a high level. These are the things that I've done, and I also have passed very difficult legislation. So I have the ability not just to come up with an idea. Anyone can come up with an idea, but being able to implement that idea is a whole nother skill set. But with growing the county council, with protecting the inspector general, with
you want to talk about that for 1 minute? Or
sure,
no?
of course.
I haven't hit you on that. So inspector general, it's been in the news. I don't know a lot about it. I don't know about the position. I just know it hasn't been a good look as a county as a county resident and business owner. It's not a good look.
So I've always supported the Inspector General, having the Office of the Inspector General. I've supported Kelly Madigan as the Inspector General.
What does it mean? What was her job?
Her job, the basic job is to reduce fraud, waste, and abuse. When she first came on, she also had an ethics component to her job, but that's now shifted to the Office of Law. So really we're talking about fraud, waste, and abuse. And the nuance
in county government.
Yes.
Overseeing the money.
Yeah,
that
and you have to understand
county
agencies,
yes.
the nuances of county agencies. And so Kelly did a good job at understanding all that. And one of the big differences and what makes the job so difficult is part of her job was to investigate elected officials. And so that could create some conflict in terms of the appointing authority. So I've introduced legislation that'll be before the voters to have an independent appointment board that'll select the inspector
not the councilman,
general.
not the
Correct.
county executive.
It's an independent board, but that'll be up to the voters in the November 2026 election. The one thing I will say why there was so much churning on the Inspector General's office. So in government, we don't like change. Typically, there's a resistance to change. So when you create a new agencies, people get concerned. When we created the Mayor's Office of Neighborhoods, and I was the first director, people did not want to have change in Baltimore City, but it was good change, positive change, and similarly with the Office of the Inspector General. So it's hard to create change in government, and then this office is particularly difficult because of the nature of the work program. You're going to inspect, think about this. Part of the work program is you might have to investigate an elected official. And so to me, some elected officials say, hey, whoa, investigate an elected official.
I know a guy sitting down at Pennsylvania Avenue who doesn't want to be investigated either, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
and that.
So exactly.
It creates two tiers of citizenship.
Yeah, 2 tiers of citizenship, and that's not the way it should be.
Kind of like Justin Tucker running around, but we'll get to that another time.
Oh, wow.
Izzy Patoka is here. He is in the second. He is Ravens. You worried? We're all worried, right?
Wow, so, some games
You're happy
are so
with the
hard
Orioles,
to
though.
watch.
They're spending money, right? So that's good.
Yeah, let's hope they can get a pitcher. But you know what? I have confidence in the pitchers they have. I think Kyle Bradish is going to have a great year. Tyler Wells will have a great year.
Don't tell them that they don't want to spend money. Make them spend more money. My money.
Yeah.
Spend the money.
But I like our young guys.
We had 30 years where we didn't do anything. So, like, some activity, even if it's wrong, it feels right because it's in a direction of trying harder. Because I feel like for a long time they didn't try that hard, right? So trying hard is, you get my vote just for trying hard.
Yeah.
That's all.
I heard one sports pundit say that, and I think it's true, that getting Pete Alonso will take the pressure off some of the young guys like Gunner and.
But he's got to be an is, not a might be, and he's always been an is, and that's why. And you've always been an is too.
Yeah, I have. The thing that impressed me is I looked at his stats, and his plate appearances over the last 5 years are phenomenal.
He plays.
He had 709 plate appearances last year.
Max Weiss and I got into it yesterday over at Deep Pasquale's, and she's such a fan.
I haven't seen her in years.
She's a fan. And she's like, so what does this mean for Basayo? What does this mean for Rutschman? What does this mean for Mountcastle? And I'm like, they gave him $35 million a year to play first base, and he plays first base probably 135 games. Maybe he would DH 15 or 20 games. Maybe that would be different when he's 34, 35, but they're still paying him $35 million a year the next 5 years. He's always played first base, so he's going to play. So, I mean, what does that mean? It means Basayo's going to be a DH because he ain't going to be a catcher. So that's what that means. So, hey, good luck to you.
Thank you, Nestor.
Hey, I love lending my time, space here at Honey's. We're in Halethorpe on the Maryland Crab Cake Tour presented by the Maryland Lottery with our friends at GBMC. I like lending it to people that want to talk about making Baltimore County, Baltimore City, Anne Arundel, Howard, just better. It's a land of pleasant living, you know that, right?
I love this place.
We got to make it better. That's it. All right, I'm here at Halethorpe. We're going to be joined by Nick Stewart, who's also running for Baltimore County Executive. My dude, Sean Stinette's running for delegate. My former intern, my Kemosabe around here at WNST is running, and I think we have some other guests stopping by. I'm going to have some delicious pot stickers here. They've made some crab cake stuff. I got to watch my figure because I'm going to be going on to the mat later on.
Oh, wow.
We're going to be at Costas next Thursday in Dundalk with Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Regina Shock. Friday, we're going to be at Gertrude's at the BMA. With a gingerbread house, I'm going to have candy cane scratch-offs from the Maryland Lottery, and then we're going to wrap things up for the holidays on the 22nd. They've told me at Planet Fitness they're going to get me the New Year's Eve hats. So we're going to confetti it all up. It's in Timonium, another Baltimore County location, brand new location at Planet Fitness. I'm looking forward to getting out there. They have this rejuvenation bed that's going to light my world for Christmas Eve. And they also have the water massage, which I'm definitely going to need after doing all these crab cakes. Back for more. We are at Honey's in Halethorpe, just a couple blocks from the city line. We're in Baltimore County. Going to be talking some more Baltimore County issues here. Stay with us. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore positive.